Hey guys, so I have a super special treat for you today. I have the smartest lady and my personal health coach on with us today to talk about gut health, agriculture, and a whole bunch of fun subjects relating to health. So Dr. Natasha Campbell Mcbride is a neurologist and holds a degree in human nutrition. She's particularly famous for creating the GAPS diet protocol and has authored many amazing books about disease prevention and reversing all sorts of disease states. She often refers to Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, but in our circles, we've referred to Dr. Natasha as the mother of modern medicine. She's an absolute genius in her field, and we are so fortunate to chat with her today. The other amazing lady I have with us is Jennifer Burns. She's a fitness and health nutrition specialist who specializes in gut health. She's been my personal nutritionist and personal health coach for several months now. And she's been a great resource and is a huge proponent of Dr. Natasha's work and has been instrumental in my own healing. Now, I could tell you from, working in the health and fitness realm myself for the last 16 years, and just from having this channel, you could tell something really wrong is going on in the world today. Autoimmunity, obesity, poor gut health, infertility, pain conditions, et cetera, they're completely rampant at the moment. And it's pretty obvious that, something is really wrong and we're going in the wrong direction here. So now I created this channel for sick people to get to the root cause of their illness and to take their health back into their own hands and get to root cause healing. And I'm hoping this discussion today will give people hope and healing to those who are suffering so badly with their own health issues. And with that being said, Dr. Natasha, I just want to thank you so much for giving us your time today. I'm hoping you could give us an overview on your ideas on the state of our health and what's going wrong here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here. And thank you for the wonderful introduction.
You like that? Has anyone called you the mother?
I haven't been called the mother of medicine yet. You're the first.
Well, hopefully that will stick.
Well, the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, made a statement thousands of years ago that all disease begins in the gut. And today, with our modern medicine, modern tools and sciences that we have come to the conclusion he was absolutely right, 100% right. There is a place for all sorts of medicine in the world, and mainstream medicine has its place, because if you got run over by a bus, God forbid, you need mainstream medicine, because they would know how to save your life when it comes to it. They're good for life and death situations. The problem is that a vast majority of people in the world are not suffering from acute problems. They're suffering from chronic health conditions. As you've mentioned, autoimmunity is rampant, cancer, heart disease, obesity, mental illness, learning disabilities, all sorts of allergies, all sorts of problems. There are hardly any healthy people left, it seems, particularly in the industrialized world. And there is a big question, why? It is clear, very clear, that there is no point for these people to go to the mainstream doctors, because mainstream doctors cannot help them. They do not understand where these diseases come from and what to do with them. All they can do is to make the patient a bit more comfortable by suppressing symptoms. Symptoms are the way your body communicates to you that something's wrong, that you're doing something wrong to it. By giving you pain, by giving you inflammation, limitation of function, swelling, and other rashes and allergies and other symptoms, the body is communicating to you that you need to change your lifestyle, you need to change your diet, you need to change the course of your life. If you take a drug that you got from a mainstream doctor, which will suppress pain, suppress inflammation, suppress swelling, suppress whatever it is, any symptom, you're basically telling your body to stop calling for help and suffer in silence. The disease is not gone. Your pain may be gone, but the disease is not gone. It's continuing in your body. It's continuing to destroy your body, but this time without you being aware of it. So if that sort of situation is satisfactory for you, then go ahead and work with the mainstream doctors. But if you would like to get to the root cause of why you're ill and what's wrong with your body and what is going on and what you need to do to help your body to heal itself, then you want to go to alternative methods. You want to work with Mother Nature, because human body is part of Mother Nature, and it is a pinnacle of evolution. It is the most amazing invention, amazing life form on our planet. It has all the mechanisms of healing itself, repairing itself, rejuvenating itself, perpetuating itself, making itself go on and on and on, a long life. These mechanisms are perfect. It is your own body that heals itself. It is your own body that repairs you and deals with all the problems. Not the doctor, not the pill, not the diet, not the supplement, nothing else, your own body. So you have to work with your own body. And here we come to the gut, the gaps. Recent research has now demonstrated conclusively that human body is an ecosystem. It is a microbial community. There are more microbes in your body than there are human cells. And majority of your human cells, which we call human cells, actually came from microbes billions of years ago. They evolved from microbes. Certainly all your immune cells, your blood cells, your bone marrow cells, and many other cells, they are still behaving like microbes. They have microbial genetics, and they've never forgotten who they are. They can reverse back to the microbial state. So your body is full of bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoa, all kinds of archaea, all kinds of creatures. The only way for microbes to live in this world, and the only way for any creature to live in this world, is symbiosis, forming communities where everyone's present and everyone is contributing to the whole and everyone's controlling each other. No one's allowed to get out of control and start causing trouble, because every microbe in the world can cause trouble. But as long as you have all of them present in your body, they're controlling each other. You have symbiosis, you have a beautiful harmony. It's like a beautiful symphony of Beethoven that is playing in your body, where every instrument plays at the right moment and knows what to do, at what volume to play, how to play, and not spoil the whole music, the whole symphony. Unfortunately, we human beings are very good at creating disharmony in our nature, creating, breaking down balanced communities without chemicals, without radiation, without interventions, without meddling that we do. And as we've been doing that to our planet, we have been doing that to our own bodies at the same time. Because your body is a mirror of what's going on, of the whole planet. Your body is a microbial community. Every time you take antibiotic or any other antimicrobial substance into your body or apply it to your skin, you are killing off part of that microbial community. No chemical in the world can kill everything. It only kills a small group of microbes. It can only address a small group of microbes. This small group of microbes was controlling a myriad of other microbes. It was a balanced, harmonious community. They were playing together, a complex symphony. You've killed off a bunch of musicians in that orchestra, and symphony doesn't sound good anymore. The harmony is gone, the music is gone, it turns into a cacophony. And that's what majority of humans in the industrialized world now have. Their bodies are not playing a harmonious, beautiful symphonies anymore. They're playing cacophonies. And a cacophony shows up as a disease. That's what it is. There is nothing microbe-free in your body. You have microbes in your blood, in your abdominal cavity, in your joints, in your muscles, in your bones, in your lungs, in your heart, in your brain, in your eyes, everywhere. Everywhere there are microbes. You are made out of them. So this idea that we live in the world for the last 150 years, that the world is full of dangerous microbes and they're all out there to attack us and we are helpless, unfortunate victims of all these microbes. So we better sterilize everything. We better take antibiotics. We better sterilize everything we eat, everything we drink, our environment, our skin, our mouth, everything should be sterilized. This idea goes completely against the real the reality of what this world is. This world is a microbial community. There are far more microbes on this planet than humans or any other creatures, and your body is a microbial community. Unfortunately, today, people are eating antibiotics for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because people buy food in supermarkets. Where does food come from to supermarkets? From the industrial agricultural complex, full of chemicals, irradiation, all sorts of practices, cruel practices involved. So majority of agricultural chemicals that are used by industrial agriculture are antibiotics in their nature. The most commonly used one is glyphosate. That's the main ingredient in Roundup herbicide. When it was first discovered, it was classified and patented as a broad spectrum antibiotic. Now, research shows that even organic produce in the supermarkets is full of glyphosate. You cannot trust organic label anymore in the supermarkets because some 10, 15 years ago, the industrial complex realized that people want clean food and they wanted a piece of that pie. And because they control the agricultural policies of Western governments, they put their own people in there. Agricultural policies of your government are controlled by industrial agricultural complex, by chemical companies. They have changed all the regulations around organics. Now they have organic pesticides, complete oxymoron. They have practices which have no place in real organics, and all the organic produce you buy in a supermarket is maybe some few bits and pieces managed to get in from real organic producers, but how do we know which one's which? So everything you buy in a supermarket is full of antibiotics. You're eating them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You are destroying your microbial community. You are destroying that symphony in your body, turning it into a cacophony of disease. So people ask me, what should we do? Where should we buy the food? There are hundreds and hundreds of real organic farmers in every country in the Western world. Lots of them. In America, you just need to go on the Western A Price Foundation website and you will get their shopping guide where all of these real organic farmers are listed. So you can contact them directly. Many of them ship their food. You can go and pick it up from them. You can, if you live in a city, you can like it. And you can make a rota where one family drives out of the city to the organic farm and brings food for the whole group. When the group, next week, it'll be somebody else, so you don't have to do it every weekend. And when the group becomes large enough, many farmers are happy to deliver to one place in the city, so the whole group can pick up their bits and pieces from one person's apartment. So it only takes getting organized. If you buy directly from true organic farmers, then you will be supporting a good person, because true organic farming is not supported by Western governments. In fact, Western governments are doing their utter best to destroy them. They make their lives very difficult. And the only farmers like that who survive are the ones who can sell directly to consumers, who have a strong customer base. So you'll be supporting a good person who loves his land, loves his soil, loves his animals, his chickens, his plants, who is doing everything with love and coming from love. Why this is important? Because food is energy. Food is information. Every mouthful of food that you take into your body is information. You're taking information into your body. What kind of information do you get from food that you buy in the supermarket, produced by industrial agriculture? You're getting information of greed, information of suffering, in the case of animals and birds, of pain, of grief, of poisons. Do you think that information is going to bring you health? If you buy food produced with love by a loving person on a proper organic land, on a proper organic farm, every bite of that food will bring you information of love and care and kindness. And only that kind of information can bring you good health. So by buying directly from these farmers, not only you will be supporting these farmers and allowing them to survive in this world, but you will also provide your family with proper quality food. The kind of food that is our birthright. The kind of food that Mother Nature, this planet of ours, beautiful planet, intended for us in the first place. Mother Nature did not intend for us to eat suffering and pain and greed. It intended for us to eat love and kindness and joy and good health. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. So coming back to the GAPS, how did I come to that? GAPS stands for gut and psychology syndrome and gut and physiology syndrome. I have 2 books with the same names. The first one came out in 2004, Gut and Psychology Syndrome, and it focused on the brain. It focused on autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, other learning disabilities, and on mental illness, schizophrenia, attention deficit disorder, depression, addictions, obsessive compulsive disorder, and so on. So if there is that kind of problem in your family pertaining to the brain, then start from that book. The second GAPS book, Gut and Physiology Syndrome, focuses on the rest of the body. It will help you to understand and overcome, conquer autoimmune disease, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, ME, neurological disorders such as multiple sclerosis, Guillain-Barré, neuropathies, endocrine disorders, skin problems, kidney problems, liver problems, digestive problems, lung problems, heart problems, all kinds of other problems. That book came out in 2020. So it is a fairly recent book, and it has the latest information on GAPS. What is GAPS? The basis of GAPS nutritional protocol is the GAPS diet. Since I've written my first book in 2004, it became a global phenomenon. I never expected that, but clearly this is because the world needs this information. Clearly because every country in the world is going the same way, because industrial agriculture is very active and aggressively moving into every country of the world. And as it moves in, it brings a whole bunch of diseases with it. People start getting problems. People start getting diseases in those countries. The first GAPS book, Gut and Psychology Syndrome, has been translated into 24 languages. More translations are coming out. And I'm not doing these translations. People in those countries who have English language read the English book and then feel that this information must be brought into their country. So they're translating it themselves in every country. The Gut and Physiology Syndrome only came out a year and a half and a year ago, and it's already being translated into several languages. So information is out there. On my website, there is a lot of information on this. So what is a GAPS nutritional protocol? To start with, for my own child, because my first son was autistic. He was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3. That threw me into a very steep learning curve because I realized very quickly that my own profession had absolutely nothing to offer my beautiful little boy. And I had to save him. So I found all the answers. And based on that situation, I have developed the GAPS concept, Gut and Psychology Syndrome. My son now is almost 30. He is a healthy young man. He's leading a normal life. We've forgotten about autism a long, long time ago now. So he taught me that autism is curable. And as I was working with him, lots of other families got in touch with me. I started working with other autistic children, and then hyperactive children, and then dyslexic, dyspraxic, and then adults with mental illness started coming to me. And very quickly I realized that all of these people have lots of physical problems. They're not just mentally ill. They're suffering from allergies. They're suffering from asthma, eczema, digestive problems, low energy, painful joints, painful stiff muscles, and all sorts of other, and autoimmune disease. Then I realized that parents of these children are not healthy either. They're not well themselves. They have a whole bunch of illnesses, and siblings also, and grandparents too. So we had to treat the whole family. The whole family are GAPsters. So what is a GAPster? A GAPster is a person who has got abnormal gut flora. Majority of that microbial community that lives in your body lives in your digestive system. It is called the gut flora. Science gives us different numbers, but the number that we've got at the moment is 90%. 90% of all cells in your body are in your gut flora. And that complex, mighty microbial community that lives in your digestive system, 90%. So your body basically is a shell. It's only 10%. It's a shell, it's a habitat for that mass of microbes that live in your digestive system alone. We're not even mentioning microbes yet living everywhere else in your body. If we include those, then it'll be 100% probably. So this microbial community in your digestive system holds the roots of your health. Every disease, chronic disease, no matter how far away from the digestive system it might manifest, is born there, in that digestive system. 85% of your immune system is right there, in the wall of the digestive tract. And it interacts with the gut flora very tightly. They are partners, they work together. The gut flora is a major source of information for your immune system to act upon. So every autoimmune illness, every allergy, every chronic inflammation, mast cell disorders, histamine, and all sorts of other immune abnormalities, all stem from the activities of the gut flora, all stem from the gut. You may have rheumatoid arthritis, and you think, what have my painful joints got to do with my digestive system? Particularly many people with these kind of illnesses don't seem to have digestive symptoms. So constipation, no gas, no pain, no belching. I'm all right in the digestive system. So my rheumatoid arthritis, or my multiple sclerosis, or my Hashimoto, or my lupus, or my nephropathy, or psoriasis may have nothing to do with my digestive system. You will be mistaken. The roots of every disorder are sitting in the digestive system, whether you have digestive symptoms or not. And when we start treating these people with the GAPS nutritional protocol, rheumatoid arthritis disappears. I have several people who recovered from multiple sclerosis, fully, who recover from fibromyalgia, recover from chronic fatigue syndrome, recover from all sorts of neuropathies, from Guillain-Barré, from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, from psoriasis. All the illnesses which our mainstream doctors believe to be incurable and tell you that they're incurable are only incurable in their own minds because they haven't got the answers. But the answers exist, but not in their heads and not in their realm. They exist elsewhere. So if you have any of these illnesses, that's what you need to look at. You need to look at the GAPS nutritional protocol. What does this protocol do? It drives out pathogen microbes out of your body and rebalances that microbial community. From cacophony, it turns that music back into symphony. It brings in all the missing microbes. It drives out all the pathogens. It brings everybody under control and restores that symbiosis, that beautiful harmony between all the microbes and your human cells in the body. So your body starts singing again, singing health. You get your health back. And in order to do that, you have to address the gut flora first. Why? Because if you ask any microbiologist, what is the most powerful influence on a microbial community? Every knowledgeable microbiologist worth his salt will immediately answer, food. You change their food supply. You change the medium you're growing those microbes in. Everything will change within an hour. Within an hour, trillions of babies will be produced. Certain species will die out, other species will proliferate. And the whole microbial community will change completely, radically. So food is a #1 medicine. There is nothing more powerful in this world. Nothing comes even close to the power of food, of changing how you eat. So GAPS diet was specifically designed to restore that harmony in the microbes in your body, and not only in your digestive system, everywhere. In your brain, in your heart, in your lungs, in your joints, in your muscles, in your skin, on every mucous membrane, everywhere. Microbial communities will change. Pathogens will go, moved. Proper microbial community will be restored, and your body will start singing that beautiful symphony that it's supposed to sing, the symphony of health. That's what the GAPS diet does. Apart from GAPS diet, the GAPS nutritional protocol has 2 other elements. One is a few nutritional supplements. I'm talking about very few. I'm not fond of nutritional supplements because human beings have been designed to get their nutrition from food, not from pills. And every nutritional supplement is a processed substance, and you have to trust the manufacturers. And we don't know whether we can trust them and how many of them we can trust. And even if we can trust one manufacturer today, next year things may change, people may leave, other people will come in, people who have profit in their minds, and things will change. And the quality of that supplement will change. Vast majority of people around the world who use the GAPS nutritional protocol for healing are not wealthy. They can't afford supplements. So they did the program without supplements, and they've recovered. They have recovered. I don't know how many people have recovered all over the world, because nobody's doing the research, nobody's counting, nobody's classifying this information. In my opinion, more than 1 million probably, possibly more, millions probably all over the world, in all sorts of countries. So you can't do it without supplements altogether. In some situations, however, for people who can afford them, for people who have access to them, a few supplements can be helpful. We look for very good quality supplements, and we only use literally a few, which can, up to 5, no more. And the third very important part of the GAPS nutritional protocol is lifestyle changes. We have to remove man-made chemicals out of your home and out of your life and out of your body. We have to start loving the sun and becoming friends with the sun. The sun is the source of energy, the source of life on our planet. The invisible parts of the sun spectrum go right through your body, right into every molecule and every atom in your body. And they normalize everything on biophysical level, on atomic level, nuclear level. Everything gets normalized because your body is a collection of vibrations, collection of energies. Every little thing is dancing in your body, vibrating at certain frequency. The sun frequency normalizes and harmonizes those vibrations and brings them into the healthy spectrum. So when we sunbathe, phenomenal things happen in the human body. Absolutely magical things. That is why sunbathing is absolutely vital for us. And we must not use screens, sun lotions and sunscreens. There is no connection between sun and skin cancer. None whatsoever. This is a propaganda coming from the chemical industry, the same industry that owns agriculture, that owns pharmaceuticals, that owns our medicine, and that owns agricultural policies of our governments. It's the same people. They make you sick first with their chemicals in their food, and then they sell you drugs, and then they sell you medical procedures. They have the full circle. So that needs to be understood. Many people don't understand that. You need to understand that. So these sun lotions, they contain chemicals which have been proven for the last 70 years, proven to cause skin cancer. There is research now to show that the 2 lines on a graph of the skin cancer growth and the growth of use of these lotions and potions are parallel. It's the sunscreen lotions that cause skin cancer, not the sun. So stop using them. What did people do for millions of years? Majority of our existence on this planet, human beings didn't have clothes, and they were naked and in the sun. They lived outdoors and they were naked, more or less. So the sun is our friend. Only recently we started hiding from the sun due to all this propaganda that we believed from our authorities. So what do people do in hot climates around the equator, around the Mediterranean? In the midday, they go into the shade. They don't fry themselves in the sun. They don't burn themselves. So when it's too hot and you are somewhere on holiday like Florida in the middle of the summer, don't fry yourself in the middle of the day. Go into the shade. Stay in the shade. Do something else. And sunbathe in the morning and in the afternoon, in the late afternoon, not to burn yourself and to get a good tan. This is absolutely essential because your body will heal much quicker and much better. Swimming in the sea, swimming in lakes, swimming in rivers is something that, again, we grew up with and we lived with for millions of years. And we used to drink water from rivers and lakes. That water is alive. There are 2 kinds of water in nature. One water is called alive, another water is called dead. What are you drinking from the tap? What are you drinking from the bottle? You're drinking dead water. What you're drinking from your reverse osmosis or filtered water, whatever, you're drinking dead water. If you can't drink water from a stream, from a lake, from a river, you're drinking alive water, living water, which will give you life and give you energy and give you health. Dead water will take energy and life and health away from you. That is why we must never ever swim in swimming pools of any description. That's dead water which takes life and health away from you. It robs you. We should swim only in natural waters of lakes, rivers, and sea and oceans. They will give you energy. They will give you life, give you health, give you recovery and healing from your illnesses. So there are many things that we have to change in our lifestyles in order to allow the body to heal, to give it all the necessary tools and ingredients to heal. So this is what the GAPS nutritional protocol is. I'd like to mention a couple of things that people ask about this protocol. One is about heart disease and fats and cholesterol. GAPS diet is very rich in animal fats and cholesterol containing foods. Foods rich in cholesterol, such as eggs, butter, animal fats, oily fish, and other foods like that. Why? Because without these things, no healing can happen in the body at all. These are preferred sources of energy for the human body. Every cell in your body prefers to use fats, and majority of your organs and cells in the body can use only fats, such as your heart. Your heart uses fully saturated fat for producing energy. That is why your heart is sitting in a chamber, thick chamber of very hard fat. That is its energy stores. The same for many, many other organs. The companies which produce soft drinks, so-called sports drinks, brainwash the whole population, including medical profession, that you need glucose for energy. You need sugar for energy, you need carbohydrates for energy. That is not true. In fact, everything mainstream, after practicing as a medical doctor for more than 30 years, or maybe almost 40 years now, I have come to the conclusion that whatever the mainstream is telling you, whatever you hear on TV, in glossy magazines, in any mainstream outlet, any mainstream media, you turn it upside down and you will see the truth. So if they're telling you that you need sugar for energy, you turn it upside down and you'll see that you don't need sugar for energy, you need fat for energy. And the only suitable fats for human beings are animal fats, not vegetable oils. Lamb fat, beef fat, goose fat, duck fat, butter, pork fat, chicken fat, ghee, sour cream, these kind of things. These are the best fats for human beings, not only for energy, but also for the physical structure of your body. Because if you remove water out of your body, about 70% of your body is water, and by molecular count, about 99%, then the rest, what's left, the dry weight of your body, is 50-50 protein and fat. When we analyze human protein and human fat in a laboratory, we find that in their biochemical composition, they're almost identical, very similar, to fat and protein that we get from meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. Plants have proteins, have fats, but those proteins and fats from plants are unsuitable for building human protein and human fat. On top of that, they are indigestible for the human digestive system. The most researched protein from plants is gluten. And the more we're researching it, the more we're realizing nobody can digest it. It damages everybody. Even people who on the face of it don't seem to develop symptoms from eating bread and pasta. They're still being damaged. They just don't realize it, these people. Plants are full of proteins. All of them are indigestible for the human digestive system. And the body cannot use it, and they have a wrong amino acid composition, even if they are digested. Human body cannot use them for building your physical structure, your skeleton, your big muscles, your big brain, your big lungs, big liver, your digestive system, your skin, all your organs, because all of your structure in the body is constantly being renewed. Cells only live a short life. They become old, they die, they get removed, and new baby cells are born to replace them. Your body gives birth to trillions of cells every day, in every organ, every tissue, every nook and cranny in your body. In order to give birth to those trillions of baby cells, building materials are required: protein, fat, and water. The only proteins and fats that are suitable for this process come from animal foods: meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. Cholesterol is a vital element. About 40% of your brain is cholesterol. Your bone marrow is made out of cholesterol at almost 60%. Your endocrine glands are made out of cholesterol and fats to a very large degree. All sorts of organs are made out of this. It's a structural element. Your immune system cannot work without it. You cannot cope with stress. You cannot reproduce. You cannot produce children because every sex hormone and stress hormone are made out of cholesterol. If you don't have enough cholesterol in your body, you cannot cope with stress and you cannot reproduce. You cannot have children. Cholesterol is essential for healing in the body, for every function in the body. That is why GAPS diet is very rich in these foods. Cholesterol and animal fats do not cause heart disease. Remember that mainstream dogma? Turn it upside down and you will see the truth. And I've written a book on this subject called Put Your Heart in Your Mouth, which, if you're interested, please read this book. It's fully referenced for professionals and for scientists. And it explains what actually causes heart disease. Fat and cholesterol do not cause heart disease. In fact, they prevent it and reverse it. If you want to recover from heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, and other parts of metabolic syndrome, you need to eat lots of fat and lots of cholesterol. That's what will prevent heart attacks. That's what will prevent diabetes. That's what will prevent all these sort of things in your body and reverse them. Another subject that a lot of people ask about is vegetarianism, because the mainstream push for vegetarianism is very aggressive and is getting more and more aggressive. And again, it comes from that matrix that we talked about. The same small group of people who own our industrial agriculture, our pharmaceutical industry, our medicine, our governments, our chemical industries, and pretty much everything else, it seems, in the capitalist world. So for these people to produce plant matter, to grow plants, is very profitable and easy, because they've got all the science, research, they worked it all out with all their chemicals and machinery. It's easy for them to produce as much plant matter as you like. In fact, our industrial agriculture of the Western world alone has been overproducing grain in the last 20 years to such a degree that they're dumping grain into Atlantic Ocean because they've got no market for it. I have a paper, a scientific paper where assessment was done of this situation only in 2011. From that time, the 2011 paper, Western agriculture produced enough grain to feed 13 billion people in 2011 alone. We don't have 13 billion people on the planet. We have 7 billion people. So what do they do with this overproduced grain? They hide it. They hide that truth. They dump it in the Atlantic Ocean. They feed it to unfortunate animals, which they've taken off the pastures, lock them up in prisons, and feed them this grain, which makes these animals sick, because animals are not supposed to be eating grain. That's not a natural food for them. And to the mainstream propaganda, through the mainstream propaganda, which belongs to them, by the way, the mainstream media belongs to these people as well. They show those poor, unfortunate, starving children in Africa, telling everybody we're not producing enough, because that's their main source of profit, of income, producing plants. However, producing animal products, meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, is unprofitable and difficult for them, because animals and birds just don't obey chemicals and machinery. They need to be on pasture. They need to be under the sunlight. And they need to have real pasture, organic pasture, with more than 60 varieties of grains and of herbs and grasses growing in a healthy, harmonious mixture on that pasture. That's what they need to be healthy. They've been taken off all those pastures. All those pastures have been plowed, and they're growing commodity plants on it, which they make profits on. Well, the animals and birds have been locked into prisons, and they're fed overproduced grain. The grain makes them sick because it is not a natural food for them. They don't see the grass, they don't see the sun. So as a result, they're all sick. So lots of antibiotics have to be given to them all the time, and they're expensive. Steroids have to be given, and they're expensive. Lots of other things, they have to be killed young, because otherwise they develop cancers and they just drop dead. These animals and birds. So all the animal products that the industry is producing for us is full of chemicals, full of steroids, full of antibiotics, and full of grief and suffering of these animals and birds. They don't want to do that. And on top of that, they now heavily invested into synthetic meat, synthetic milk, and synthetic eggs. They have been working on these technologies for decades. Now these technologies are done and ready. They are now producing these things. Synthetic meats are already in the supermarkets and are heavily promoted to you. So to make the whole planet vegetarian and vegan is the best, perfect thing for these corporations. It is the most profitable thing. It makes perfect business sense to them. And because they rule the agricultural policies and many other policies of Western governments, in fact, Western governments are their servants. The Western governments are now working very hard to convince the population of the whole planet to become vegan and vegetarian, to fill the coffers of those global corporations. That is the only reason for it. When we come to the human health, and the way they try to convince people is they've employed very large armies of psychologists and marketeers who are very cleverly trying to convince people based on emotions and ignorance. They play on people's emotions, particularly on the emotions of young people, where they're giving you statements like, you will be saving the planet. It is healthy for you. It is kind to animals. It is kind to humans. Remember about the mainstream dogma, everything you hear from the mainstream media, turn it upside down and you will see the truth. Every one of those statements, the truth is the opposite. Vegetarians and vegans destroy the planet because the only way to feed hordes of vegetarians and vegans is through industrial agriculture. Organic agriculture cannot produce reliable amounts of plant matter to feed lots and lots of vegans and vegetarians. I'm an organic farmer. I grow all of my produce. We do not buy anything. We eat everything off the farm. We produce all of our food. No matter what you do, you can do everything by the book. You can do your absolute best. And then it rains too much and the slugs ate all your cabbages. You have no cabbage after all your efforts. You can do your best. You could planted carrots and you have done everything fantastically well, and then something wrong with the weather, or some insects were chased off the arable fields nearby where farmers have sprayed chemicals. So all the insects ran to my farm and found my carrots. So
do you deliver? Do you deliver?
I live on the farm. That's right. I live on the farm. I run the farm.
Do you deliver to the U.S.? We need you to send us some of your produce.
No. We are a closed system. We do not sell anything.
It sounds like what we're.
That's
it
right.
sounds like what we're doing to animals.
That lives on the farm. I have a community of volunteers that work on my farm, and volunteers come and go. We teach organic farming. We teach these young people how to become organic farmers. So organic farming cannot produce reliable amounts of vegetables, grains, and other plant matter. And they cannot produce these things looking perfect, the same size, ideal, like on the shelves of the supermarkets, all clean and perfect. Because organic produce doesn't look perfect and clean. It's all higgledy-piggledy different sizes. Most of them have spots and blemishes and little damaged bits on it. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. However, when it comes to producing meat, eggs, and milk, organic farming is easy. You're busy half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. The rest of the day is free for you. Because as long as you provide the animals with proper habitat, proper environment, and proper food, as long as they're all on pasture, chickens are completely free, roaming all over my farm, everywhere, all the birds. Pigs are in the forest. Geese need the wetland. They need ponds. They need wetland. Cows and sheep and goats, they need grasslands and forest and bushes to eat. As long as you provide them with the proper habitat, they take care of themselves. And they're healthy, and it rains for free, and the grass grows for free. the whole year round here in Britain. It's the easiest and the least expensive activity to produce the perfect quality eggs, perfect quality milk, and perfect quality milk. And all of these products, because these animals are in a proper natural habitat, they are loved. They feel that love. And they are filled with love. So every piece of meat we eat we're eating love. Milk, we're drinking love. Every egg is full of love, full of joy, exhilaration of life. My chickens have such a busy social life. They're so happy. They're so healthy, running around. So the eggs are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So producing animal products on an organic farm is easy. Easy, nothing to it. As long as you obey Mother Nature and give them the habitat and the food that Mother Nature intended for them. However, producing plant matter is hard work, a lot of labor, difficult, and the results are unpredictable. When it comes to industrial agriculture, these two things swap. Producing plant matter is easy peasy and very profitable. Producing animal products is difficult and unpredictable, and the quality is poor. That is why industrial agriculture wants you to become vegan and vegetarian. And veganism, vegetarianism is completely inappropriate for human physiology because of the way your digestive system has been designed. And I explained the whole thing in this book. It's not a thick book. It's got nice pictures. I've written it specifically for the young people, for the teenagers. Yes, that's a thicker book, who fall prey for this propaganda. Vegetarianism destroys our planet. If large numbers of people become vegan and vegetarian, we will finish off our planet very quickly because it relies on industrial arable agriculture. Vegetarianism is unkind to animals, to birds, because this industrial agriculture wants to get rid of animal husbandry altogether. They want to get rid of animals and birds altogether because they want you to eat their synthetic meat that they're producing in their factories from plants. They've invested hundreds of billions into it already. And that synthetic meat will never, ever bring you any good health, anything good whatsoever. And they're now starting to produce synthetic milk and synthetic eggs. They even have technologies for that. And everything is genetically modified, and everything is chemical, and everything is irradiated, and everything is artificial and disease causing. That's what they want you to be, and that's what they want you to do. And if you follow their dogma and become a vegan and vegetarian, you are filling up their coffers. You are following their dogma and propaganda. You're being deceived. So please read that book. It will explain the whole subject to you.
Yeah, and they're buying up all the pharmaceutical companies are buying up all the seed companies and you know, all the agriculture chemicals that they does their food and soil in. It's a pretty disgusting practice. And it seems to me like, you know, what we're doing to our animals, we're doing to ourselves 10 times worse.
10 times worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. We must collect our own seed. It's very important because the natural seeds are a threat to the profits of that matrix, of that evil matrix, which owns all the corporations on the planet. It's a threat to their profits. They want to modify and hybridize all the seeds, and this will be seeds which will grow this season for you. You buy seeds from them, you grow your vegetables. Yes, you get your carrots, your beetroot, your cabbages, or whatever else, but then they will not give you seed. You have to buy seed again from these corporations every year. That's what they want. They want the only plants that they want to survive on this planet are plants which they create in their labs, modified plants, which would not give you natural seed. Mother Nature give us plants which give us abundance of seed at the end of the season. And you just collect that seed and plant it and it will grow again. This is our birthright, to have free seed, to have everything for free. This is our birthright. We just need to be responsible. Then we will be given all of that. It's just people not responsible enough to be given all of that, all of our birthright yet. So we must collect real seed ourselves. There are many wonderful initiatives around the world amongst organic farmers and environmentalists and regenerative farmers. I'm a regenerative farmer, organic farmer, where real seeds are being collected, preserved, and shared amongst community and amongst other people. Collect your own seed. It's very easy to collect seed. It's very easy to learn. It's not a rocket science at all. All the instructions are online. You can find lots of information how to collect cabbage seed, how to collect carrot seed, how to collect this, that, and the other. And that way you will be eating real vegetables which Mother Nature created for you, not some laboratories created for you.
So I love you, by the way. I just love your whole concept on all of it. I've been in nutrition for years, and everything that I was taught was completely upside down, like you were saying. And I used to tell people for years until I, heard about you, I would tell people half my job is telling all of my clients that everything they ever knew about food is completely wrong. And Scott too, he and I both have been doing the carnivore diet for quite some time. And yet my family's had some autoimmune issues, some mental health issues, histamine issues. And so we were using the carnivore diet to try and turn our own health around. And it was very successful, but we felt like there was something missing because every time we would eat something like a vegetable, a Brussels sprout, a piece of fruit, anything else that was not meat, we'd notice that digestively we couldn't tolerate it or handle it anymore. And I felt like some of my clients were having the same experience where if they went meat only for a while without, and realize this is without any probiotics or anything, but just doing meat, we noticed that some people would struggle reintroducing foods at a later date. Some people would go 1.5 years, 2 years, and they still couldn't tolerate reintroducing anything. So when I read your books and watched all of your interviews and videos, I loved that you introduced the microbiome component. So the focus is on using natural homemade probiotics to repopulate and rediversify the gut, correct? I felt like that was the missing piece in the carnivore diet. And that's what we're trying to focus on now. But Scott and I had a few questions about that and about the GAPS diet in particular. Do you mind if we ask you some of those?
Okay, we've run over time, haven't we?
Yeah. So just a couple questions. Number one is, we've noticed like Scott's had some issues with this. My mother and sister have had some issues with this. Do you know what the issue could be if somebody is doing meat stock and they are doing the proper meat stock cooked for the proper length of time, that are having issues digesting that? Would there be any particular reason that somebody would have an issue digesting broth?
It depends on the whole mixture of what you're eating, and of course it's the gut flora. It's the certain, you have wrong microbes in your gut, and they are doing something wrong with this meat stock. That is why you're not digesting it. That's as simple as that. And you have those wrong microbes because you're eating something else that is not rebalancing the whole microbial community in your digestive system. People have very damaged digestive systems.
Sure.
The more damaged the digestive system is, the less plant matter we can tolerate, because plants are difficult to digest for human beings. I have extreme groups of patients who cannot tolerate any plant matter at all.
Mm-hmm.
And for these people, I designed the no plant GAPS diet, which is described in the blue book, in the gut and physiology book. This is the latest one. Yeah, this is a thick book.
Yeah, it's a great one.
That's the Bible.
It is.
Thank you. Yeah. So these people have to start from that extreme end of the GAPS diet to nourish themselves, to make themselves stronger. And then gradually we start introducing plant matter. The easiest plant matter to digest is fermented one.
Sure.
Because microbes have unsurpassed ability to digest plant matter. In fact, it is a scientific fact that the only creatures on our beautiful planet that can digest plants are microbes. The only creatures. Cows, goats, giraffe, zebra, antelope, and other herbivorous animals who live on grasses do not digest that grass themselves. They have 3 or 4 stomachs, huge, full of microbes. So when they swallow that grass, it's that microbial community in their stomachs that digests the grass for them, does all the work for them. Human beings do not have this kind of microbial community in the stomach. We have one little stomach which produces hydrochloric acid. The acidity has to be below 2, below 1 sometimes when we're hungry. And that acidity is very hostile to any kind of microbe to survive. That's why we have very few microbes hanging on in the stomach of the human being. That is why, and remember, in order to digest plant matter, you need microbes. That is why plants really are indigestible for human beings. Hydrochloric acid is perfect to digest animal foods, but completely unsuitable for digesting plant matter. So by fermenting plants outside our bodies before we put them into our mouth, we are allowing microbes to pre-digest them for us. Do all the digestive process outside our bodies, in the jar, in the crock pot, before we actually put it in our mouth. So when the microbes digest the plant matter, they release nutrients into the mixture, into the juices. They enrich the whole mass with microbial community. So you're eating probiotics. And it's full of enzymes which assist your digestive process. It will assist your pancreas, assist your liver, assist your stomach in digesting whatever you're eating. So the first plant matter that we introduce for these people are fermented foods only, fermented vegetables. Any kind of vegetable can be fermented. Whatever surplus you have in your garden, ferment. Don't throw anything away. For example, radishes, lovely vegetable, but there's only so many radishes one can eat in one day, right? They're not favorite for many people. And radishes usually ripen all at the same time. You have a whole bed of radishes. They're all beautiful and gorgeous. But if you leave them for a week, they go woody, not so good anymore. You can't eat them anymore. So harvest a lot, wash them, put them in a brine, ferment. Fermented radishes are delicious, fantastic, and you can blend them and add them to any dish. And they will allow you and help you to digest that meat stock. If you have that cup of broth, that cup of meat stock, and you put a couple of blended radishes, fermented radishes, or sauerkraut, or fermented carrot, or fermented beetroot, or fermented greens, fermented any vegetable into it, then you'll digest it much better.
Okay. What about die-off? I would love to talk about that just for a minute, because a lot of us have been struggling as we're adding in some of these probiotics. We're noticing a lot of these die-off symptoms as the pathogenic bacteria exits the body. What can people typically expect from that situation? Like most of what we've read online is, die-off might last 2 or 3 days. We're finding that it can last a lot longer than that if your body's kind of in a rough state. So can you tell us a little bit about what to expect?
Die-off is a good news. It means you're hitting the right bugs on the head. When they die, they release toxins. And these are the very toxins which make a child autistic or hyperactive, give you rheumatoid arthritis, give you headaches, give you migraines, give you allergies, or whatever else you specifically have. So killing those things is important. You have to go through die-off. But it's important to control it so that it doesn't debilitate you. How do we control die-off? We control it by introducing probiotics and fermented foods gradually, starting from a small amount. Try 1 teaspoon first and see what happens for 3-4 days. How your body reacts, what kind of reaction you get, and then increase to 2 teaspoons and so on. Go gradually. Don't hit yourself suddenly with a huge die-off, because die-off is good. And die-off also is cyclical. Your body will decide itself which layer of the onion to peel first, and which to peel second, and which to peel third, because your health is like an onion. So your body will decide, right, the first thing that I need to deal with is suppressed immune system. So it will probably peel that layer of the onion first, and you'll go through die-off with that, and your immune system will get off the floor, and you may get a temperature. You may get a cold, like all the symptoms of a cold.
Okay.
Low energy, high fever, just feeling awful, runny nose, diarrhea, possibly sneezing, coughing, headache, the whole lot. Celebrate, stay in bed, sweat, go through the temperature, do not reduce the temperature. Your body, because the temperature, high temperature, is one of the best tools your immune system uses for killing cancer cells, removing cancers out of your body. If you've got any tiny little cancers already developing in your body, they'll be gone after a few days of high fever. To rebalance your immune system, to kill all the parasites and escort them out, to burn out toxicity and remove it out. It is a major, powerful cleansing process going on in your body. Rebalancing, refurbishing, spring cleaning. Don't go to work. Don't take aspirin. Don't take ibuprofen. Don't take paracetamol. Don't take any painkillers or anything. Do not reduce the temperature. Stay in bed, sweat, drink meat stock, drink hot water with lemon and honey, and just do nothing else. Just give your body the respect, the honor, and allow it to do this work properly.
If you are,
you will come on a very much higher level of health immediately. And on that higher level of health, you will have a restful period when you will feel great, wonderful. And then your body will gather strength and say, right, I'm ready now to peel the second layer of the onion.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And you get all your die off again, and you may get you may get other symptoms again. Just respect your body, go with it, because you maybe at this point the body says, right, I've got all this mercury accumulated. I've got all this lead accumulated, all this aluminum, these bromides from the packaging from food and from fire retardants, chlorine from the water, fluoride from toothpaste. All of these things are poisonous and they destroy my thyroid function and they're destroying my adrenals and destroying something else. I need to remove that lot. But in order to remove that lot, the body has to have resources and strength and ability. And it may take a year to gather strength. And then when it's ready, it'll start removing that lot. You will feel awful. You'll get diarrhea because the major venue for the body to remove toxic metals is through the bowel. They deliver it to the bowel, transport it across the wall of the bowel, and the bowel immediately senses this is terrible poison, which they are. So it pulls in salts, pulls in water, and causes a bout of diarrhea. Clean this stuff out. Better out than in.
So if
Definitely.
somebody experiencing pretty severe die-off symptoms, should they continue with doing the fermented vegetables, or should they ever take a break from doing the probiotics?
Cut down to a smaller dose and rest. Respect your body, allow it to go through the symptoms. I know it's uncomfortable, I know it's unpleasant, but in order to come to a new level of health, in order to get out of that dead end where your body is, you have to go through suffering. You have to get to that. What helps with die-off tremendously are enemas.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a large chapter on enemas in this book and in the yellow book. A vast majority of toxicity that is floating in your blood, more than 90%, is coming from your bowel. If you keep the bowel empty, if you flush it out nicely, just read that chapter, keep your backyard healthy and clean, then you're removing 90% of toxicity. You will immediately feel better.
And does that include histamine as well? Does that include, like, because fermented foods that, could have a great deal of histamine. So do you just sort of push through that, or should you? You push through that. You push through that. Histamines, every microbe, vast majority of microbes on the planet produce histamine. Even probiotic microbes, which you buy in probiotic capsules, produce histamine. Lactobacilli produce histamine, bifidobacteria produce histamine. Most of them produce histamine. They're all histamine producing things. And histamine is also produced by your own body. Histamine is essential for us to produce stomach acid, stomach juice, and for many other functions, for joy, for exhilaration, for good mood, we need histamine. We need histamine for many, many functions. So histamine is not an enemy. It isn't something really bad. It's just you have pathogenic microbes which are producing too much. Okay. That's why your body is overloaded with it and you react into it. Flush it out with a good enema.
We have both Scott and I have experienced withdrawal ourselves and have worked with a lot of clients who have gone through withdrawal, who we found have some pretty extreme histamine issues and pretty extreme gut issues. Do you have much experience working with people who are stopping SSRIs or benzodiazepines or other psychiatric medications that may be struggling even doing the GAPS diet in the beginning?
All psychotropic medications are addictive. Whether and unfortunately, pharmaceutical manufacturers very often do not tell you about that.
Right.
And even psychiatrists are not sure about that. Every one of them is addictive. You are a drug addict as soon as you start taking this. You cannot remove them cold turkey. You have to reduce the dose slowly, gradually, teaching your body to live without this drug, without this addiction, by reducing the dose very, very gradually. And you have to remove one drug at a time. You start with a drug that you feel, and patient usually knows. They usually have a feeling, they know which drug is the least useful for them. which drug they can do without. Start from that one, remove it gradually, remove 1/10 of the dose, adjust for a week or two, remove the second 1/10 of the dose, adjust for a week or two, and go on that way. Remove the first drug, then start on the second, then start on the third. And again, start always from the tail end of less useful drugs. Remove the less useful first, then the next less useful, and so on. Very difficult to remove them. Very, very difficult. And before you start removing them, it is important to deal with the major digestive issues and just make the whole body stronger with the GAPS diet first before attacking the drugs, particularly if the person has been taking them for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Would you have them, like, so if somebody's already stopped medications, would you still have them start the probiotic protocol, or have them wait until their symptoms kind of had subsided? Because I'm noticing that some of these patients are going through withdrawal, and on top of that, experiencing the die-off, you know, on a raw nervous system with high histamine issues, that it seems to be a little bit much. Is there any recommendation that you would have for somebody who's already in that severe withdrawal situation, any changes to the GAPS diet or any different protocols that you might do?
Of course, of course. Don't introduce probiotics if they're already going through withdrawal. Don't introduce probiotics or fermented foods yet.
Okay.
And start with the easiest to digest foods, such as first, second stages of the introduction diet, and ease them into the diet gradually, because they will be self-medicating with foods. They've removed drugs because they understand the drugs are not good for them, but they might be still self-medicating with chocolate and sugar and something else, and maybe smoking, and maybe, you know, other foods, maybe eating too much fruit. That's again self-medication, getting sugar fix. Don't remove those right from the beginning. Let them self-medicate with foods, which is far more natural than with drugs. Let them get over that withdrawal, and then later on you can start removing that fruit or that chocolate or those other things that they're self-medicating with.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, Jennifer, how critical is the keto, or sorry, Natasha, I was wondering how critical is the keto component to healing? I can tell you for myself, I have Candida, I have SIBO. My gut is the furthest thing from a symphony that you can imagine. It probably sounds more like Yoko Ono, so how critical is being in ketosis, and what sort of threshold of ketosis should you have to heal?
In my experience, ketosis is not important at all.
Really?
Not at all, even for epilepsy. It's not important at all. What is important is to change the microbial community in the body. And ketosis sometimes can be counterproductive for some people for that. So I wouldn't measure ketones unless you are recovering from cancer. Unless you have that situation, then perhaps being in ketosis is important. But for all other situations, I wouldn't be so intent on being in ketosis. I would just work on cleansing your digestive system, changing your gut flora, changing the microbial community. And I say most symptoms of die-off and withdrawal and other problems, you know, other terrible symptoms are relieved tremendously by a good enema.
Okay. One more question. A lot of people ask me about, is it okay to have a cheat day here and there? And I know that you've said in your book, it's very important that people do not cheat while they're healing. Can you, does it, if somebody does have a day where they go off path and they eat something that they don't want to, number one, does it ruin all the work they've done up until that point? And number two, what can they do to help to recover if they do make some unhealthy choices?
No, nothing's ruined. Yes, you will feed that candida or that other microbe in your body. They will rise up again. But maybe you needed that to deal with some acute issue. Maybe you self-medicated something that your body really needed. So I wouldn't beat yourself over that. I would just accept that, okay, I've cheated, but now I will start again. Healing is a journey. It's a journey. It's a whole life journey. People with chronic illnesses, they can never go back to their ordinary standard American diet that they lived on. They can never go back to that. So take it seriously and take it as a lifelong journey. So there's plenty of time.
Dr. Natasha, I have one more question for you. I've heard you mention urinary pain conditions like interstitial cystitis and vulvodynia and chronic pelvic pain syndrome, which is something I've suffered with for over 20 years. Can you tell me sort of how your gut bacteria and your digestive health ties into that?
Absolutely, these are GAPS conditions. And the first thing to remove are salicylate-rich foods. So all greens, particularly spinach, all greenery, and other salicylate-rich foods. You can find comprehensive list of salicylate-rich foods. What happens? Your gut flora is abnormal. The gut wall is damaged and porous and leaky. So salicylates do not break down properly in the gut. They absorb inappropriately digested or undigested. And when they go through they're removed from the body through urine. And when they go through the urine, when this urine full of salicylates accumulates in the bladder, it burns. It causes inflammation. It strips that mucus layer, protective layer in the lining of the bladder, and causes literally erosions in the bladder and in the urethra and the whole urinary system. And that causes chronic issues, chronic cystitis. And of course, the infection is never far away. That can join in periodically, but most of the time it is a chemical cystitis. So doctors who are not familiar with this situation, they just test the urine for microbes, for infection, often find no infection and say, well, you can't have cystitis. There's no infection. It's a chemical cystitis. So in order to deal with this situation properly, we have to heal the gut. And that takes time. We need to go through the introduction diet. But in the meantime, remove all foods which contain salicylates. And that's usually greens, nuts, a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables as well.
And oxalates are also a problem.
That's right. Yeah. Oxalates and salicylates.
Do you experience many people going through oxalate dumping when they're starting the GAPS diet? If they cut out oxalates, like how do you know if a patient is going to be okay doing the intro diet without experiencing oxalate dumping?
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, they may not dump it initially, they may dump it a year later. I have a bout of cystitis. What helps with all of that is applying your homemade kefir to the groin area. In fact, that is very important to do every day for every GAPS person, particularly for women. Women have a short urethra, so that microbial community from kefir will travel up into the bladder. Bladder has a microbial community in it. And that microbial community, if it's wrong, then it will cause chronic cystitis. It will cause problems. In men, it's more difficult because their urethra is much longer, but it still travels. The microbial community still travels that way. But what men do, they can keep their bowel clean with enemas and finish every enema with some kefir mixed with water and put into the rectum, into the bowel, and then emptying again. So leaving some of that microbial community there. Because prostate and urethra goes right through prostate in men, right? That's where the enlargement of prostate comes from. It's the substances in urine that cause the enlargement of prostate, which is so common amongst men because they're all eating modern terrible diets, and all these chemicals coming through in urine cause the inflammation of the prostate and the enlargement. But prostate at the back is literally connected to the front wall of the bowel, of the rectum, lower parts of the bowel. And that wall between the bowel and the prostate is porous. There are literally canals there, channels. There is an exchange going on of something between the content of the bowel and the prostate itself. So by populating your bowel and your rectum with beneficial flora, by finishing your every enema with some kefir put into there, or some sour cream that you made at home, you will be healing your prostate, and through prostate you will be introducing beneficial flora into the bladder, into your urethra and the bladder. That's for men.
I'm just curious, how long does it take to generally heal from leaky gut? Like, is there a specific timeline that you generally see?
It depends on the person, depends how long you've been ill, can take several years. Some people recover within a few months. Other people take 5 years. It depends. And it depends how many layers your onion has.
Okay.
And only your body will decide what is the priority number one that it wants to deal with first. What's the next priority? What's the next priority?
Right.
You have to work with your body. You have to listen to it. You have to respect what the body is trying to do, and just assist it by keeping the toxicity low in the body. And I say an enema is the best way to clean out 90% of toxicity from your body, and by feeding your body properly, giving it proper rest, giving it positive emotions, positive attitudes, sunlight, swimming in the proper natural waters, walking barefoot, and all the other natural approaches.
Right.
Awesome.
Jennifer, did you have any last questions before we let Dr. Natasha go?
I think we've taken up enough of her time. We really appreciate you talking to us.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys need, first off, you know, this is one book. I'll be honest with you. I'm still trying to get through the whole book, but this is the Bible of healing yourself. So start here. Dr. Natasha has lots of great works. Dr. Natasha, can you tell us where we could find you? Tell us a little bit about your work, maybe coming up, and you know, how maybe people could get in touch with you in the future.
Well, I have a website. There are many GAPS websites online, and that's practitioners and enthusiasts and other people. I have one website called gaps.me. That's my website. I have a blog, dr-natasha.com. I can put these things in the chat, actually. That would be easier.
Yeah, and I'll link them down below, guys.
Yeah, so I'll just type them in. Gaps.me. And for training practitioners, we have gapstraining.com.
Okay.
I've been training health practitioners for a long time now. We have thousands and thousands around the world. We have a second profession that we've introduced a year ago called coaches, GAPS coaches. These are more hands-on people. And a person can become a coach without having a prior medical degree of any description. We just gone through the GAPS protocol themselves, in their family, with their children, with themselves. They have experience. These are the kind of people. So these people can come to your home and help you with shopping, help you with cooking, help you with dealing with daily issues. And many of them work online as well, long distance. So we have these 2 courses going on there. We're planning other courses, which will come out this year. We will have a course for people who are completely new to the GAPS nutritional protocol and would like some guidance. So they can sign up for that course and go through the course while they are introducing the whole thing. And the course instructors and the whole community there will be answering questions for you and guiding you, taking you by the hand and leading you by the hand. We're going to start training chefs how to implement GAPS diet, how to open GAPS restaurants. We're going to do other courses. We're doing a course for pregnant women, how to be on a GAPS nutritional protocol while you're pregnant, and how to heal a baby, how to bring up a GAPS baby. So we're working on that course. So please have a look on that website. You will find a lot of information. We also have a new development last year now in 2021. We have opened a GAPS Science Foundation. So it's .org. GAPS Science.
That's amazing. Jennifer, it looks like we need to open up a GAPS restaurant.
That's right.
Yes.
So here we are doing science now. We are doing case studies, we are doing scientific studies to show to the wider community of medics in the world that GAPS works.
It does. It does work.
Yeah,
You guys
I can't wait to get through the practitioner program myself in the spring, and then maybe we can work on opening that restaurant.
Absolutely.
You gonna do stuff?
Well, Dr.
I've made
Natasha, it has been.
I've made enough meat broth in the last 3 months. I think I could be an expert in making meat stock by now. And ferments and kefir.
Hey, kefir, yeah. Dr. Natasha, I just want to say it's been an absolute privilege to talk with you today. You know, this has been the best interview I've ever done. I'm so grateful for you coming on. And I know Jennifer was super excited to talk to you as well. So you have surpassed our expectations and more. I just want to thank you so much for coming on.
We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you for spreading the knowledge and helping other people to understand.
We are so grateful for all the legwork you've done so that we can learn from you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very
So
much.
listen to the mother of modern medicine, guys. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.